All right, it's Thursday, March 5th. Welcome back to Damon Bruce Plus. I'm Damon. It's great to have you here. Boy, like and subscribe. I really mean it. Those subs, like I am right at 51,000 and I go up 2, down 3, up 4, down 5. It's crazy. Like eclipsing 51,000 has just been bonkers. So if you're going to sub, stop unsubbing. And we'll just keep on moving here. But thank you very much for being here once again. It is great to have you. And let me tell you, we got a few things to get into here today, namely the sweet spot of this upcoming NFL draft, unfortunately, has been John Lynch's blind spot. And for the upcoming season to go anywhere, that needs to change, and it needs to change right now. By the way, don't make any changes in your lunch plans. If you already have plans to go to Ike's, today is the day to do it. It's a Thursday, and every Thursday in the month of March, use code IKEBDAY, and you'll see that you are getting incredible value. Today, you buy a sandwich, use code IKEBDAY, you get a second sandwich for $10. You buy any sandwich on the 12th, you get a second sandwich for $9. You buy a sandwich on the 19th, you get a second sandwich for $8. And if you do it on his actual birthday, which just happens to be the day after my birthday, you get a sandwich, your second sandwich for $4.80, since he's going to be turning 480. So that is coming up. Our friends at the Dubliner, we love you. We thank you. And thank you for all being here. And go get a Guinness at the Dubliner West portal. You'll be very happy that you did. We have got to get into the fact that the 49ers here. Well, let's start with Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel Jeremiah, I think, is one of the best draft analysts out there. He does a lot of stuff on NFL Network. He is all over the NFL draft every year. He is part of their coverage. I think he is state-of-the-art level outstanding. He says the sweet spot in this upcoming draft is between 50 and 70. 50 and 75. There are a bunch of solid starters in that range. He says the edge, cornerback, wide receiver that you get at 75 will have nearly an almost identical grade to the one that you would get at 45. So there is an awful lot of talent to be found second round, third round in this upcoming draft. And unfortunately, that's where John Lynch has had some of his biggest swings and misses. Some of his most prolific that didn't work out selections have come right in the sweet spot that people are talking about right now. So I certainly hope that things change. You know, what is that? That's John Lynch's music. Oh, no. Look, I like John Lynch, but he needs to get this one right. Like, how many bites at the apple do you get with all the mistakes that have been made early on in this draft? And I'll offer a reason why. Like, I think maybe I found it. And what's a little bit scary is the mechanism through maybe why there is so much struggle for John Lynch is like a little bit of a philosophy that they need to deploy here again, because, yeah, you want just as much talent as you can possibly have on your roster. But the Niners also have some serious needs to draft for. And I think that's where John Lynch gets tripped up. He drafts for a need, and he has a little bit later on success in the draft, because that's where he's just looking for what talent is out there still. What talent can I find late in this draft? And that's where he's hit on a number of picks. When he drafts for needs, it doesn't go well. When he drafts just raw talent, I think it goes better. And look, the third round curse is real. That is John Lynch's most difficult range for sure. Yeah, All-Pro Fred Warner came from there, but the list of third-round grades who just flamed out, we hardly ever got to know, it's pretty prolific. I mean, this is where you get your Travarius Moore, your Jalen Hurd, your Trey Sermon, your Danny Gray, your Tyrion Davis-Price, your C.J. Beathard. This is where they reached on a kicker. I mean, if you're evaluating a kicker in the third round, you got to know he's going to be playing for my team for 15, 20 years. Didn't work out with Jake Moody at all. An absolute disaster. You know, in the first and second rounds, we'll give John Lynch Nick Bosa, who honestly my mother could have drafted. It took no talent or reach to draft Nick Bosa. That's the easiest pick the Niners have ever made. Deebo Samuel obviously came from came early in the draft. Brandon Ayuk until it all fell apart. That was certainly promising for a while. But again, Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, Trey Lance, don't even like saying his name. Drake Jackson, never worked out. Way too many first, second round misses. Yeah, third round, you got Fred Warner. But again, there's Trey Sermon and Moody and Hurd and Price. It just does not work. And that, unfortunately, is where you find, a lot of players on this year's roster who were selected to do something on last year's roster and were hardly ever played. Jordan Watkins, Jordan James. The Niners drafting and stashing when they need to be playing and developing young players is part of the reason that they've been painted into the corner of you're probably no better than the third place team in your own division. It's their fault. Seattle has gotten the things right. Los Angeles has gotten the things right that the 49ers continue to get wrong. This is not up for debate. It is provable. Again, why? Why so many picks that you hit on? Kittle, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga. I know you've moved on from a few of these guys, but Brock Purdy being the shiniest example of late round success in the history of football. Juwan Jennings, late round pick. Why did those picks hit for John Lynch, but the other ones didn't? It's because maybe he's drafting for need, not just raw talent. Luckily, there's an awful lot of raw talent out there that John Lynch can draft. By the way, it's a little chilly here today. I got to lean over and turn on my space heater that I got here under the desk. Good to see everybody. Cheers. Welcome. Let me take a little sip of the day and we'll keep going here. Let's see. How about this? Danny saying, hey, it was nice hearing you back on KNBR last night. You also got a shout out on 95.7 this morning. Oh, I didn't think that my name was even allowed to be spoken on that channel. Shasky talked about how one of his buddy's sons is on the same flag football team as Jack. Yeah, we're at Reardon every single Saturday. John De La Cella, I believe is his buddy's name. Great guy, nice son. And a buddy of Shasky's is a buddy of mine. It was fun to be back on KNBR last night. By the way, today is the 5,000th show I have ever hosted. Ever. Like in my entire career. This is going back now almost 20 years. Today is show number 5,000. So thanks for being here. If you'd like to leave a $5,000 super chat to commemorate it, boy, I'd certainly appreciate that. We got our man... Postman Scott from Capitola. He says, agree with KNBR comments, but the sound quality kind of sucked. Yeah, that wasn't on my end. This is why radio needs to get its shit together. That could have been hammered out a little bit earlier in the day, but because things were held to the last minute, it wasn't. I was doing it over the phone. Even though you were seeing my video, this mic wasn't the one that they were using. Hopefully that gets right the next time. And breaking news to me was that Larry Krueger said, this is going to be a next time. I could be a weekly guest now on Niners Nightly. Well, okay. We'll see where any of that or all of that goes. But thank you very much for tuning in. Congrats on the return. Thank you, Bob. It was overdue, if you don't mind me saying. Sub it up. Yes, Joe Sullivan. Sub it up. Appreciate that. Roush from Stanford in the 5th. J49, I like him. Yes, that sounds like the right place to pick him for sure. How about this? Dino Bravo just became a member. Welcome to the initiated, Dino. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dino. Like and subscribe, my good friends. There's some talk of trading Trent Williams. And I don't know if that talk will grow louder or quieter because the Houston Texans were involved in that conversation. And the thing about the Houston Texans, they were in desperate need for a tackle, and today they got one. They have reached a deal with Trent Brown today, who was there. They said they were moving on. I guess they've rethought that. They've redone it. And so Trent Brown is back in the room. Is two Trents too many? Are you coming after Trent Williams if you just re-signed Trent Brown? Probably not. But let's say the Houston Texans really did, like the rumor says, offer a freaking second-round pick for Trent. I think you'd have to take it. I think you'd have to take it and admit, yeah, we're kind of doing a little bit of a rebuild here now. Not that any Niner fan has any patience for that, but it might be the right thing to do. By the way, look at my man, Barry. Barry coming in with a 20 spot on the Super. Thank you very much, Barry. Wish you had known you were on KNBR. I would have streamed it. Congratulations on the 5,000 show. Here's to 5,000 more. And a big welcome to Dino, now a member of the Initiated. Happy brunch hour, Rick. I love a brunch hour. Remember, I'm the one who put into the lexicon the concept of brunch penis. The happiest penis there is the brunch penis. Usually went on a date the night before, things went well, now you're at brunch penis, very happy. Okay. Again, trading Trent Williams seems like a crazy thing to do, but the amount of cap space that you would save to initiate a true we can build around this. And then you are just doubling down on offensive line talent in the upcoming NFL draft, which, by the way, with Trent, I think you need to do. You need to do that. The rumor that the Miami Dolphins, hold on here, I got to rub the sleep out of my eye on this one. The rumor that the Miami Dolphins are thinking about maybe offering up as much as a first rounder for Mac Jones. Look, I am the chairman of the board of the Mac Jones fan club. I will drive him to the airport myself if the Miami Dolphins seriously offered the 11th pick in the draft for Mac Jones. Good God. Yeah, you do that at the speed of light. Even if it weren't that, even if it were a high 2 and multiples, getting into that sweet spot that Daniel Jeremiah is talking about, that John Lynch can't swing and a miss in anymore, that's where the Niners need to be in this draft. If you keep Trent Williams, trading back from 27 is a reality. I wouldn't be angry at that. But, man, you better not trade back if Monroe Freeling is sitting right there, if Caden Proctor is sitting right there. It is time to get this offensive line right for the present and the future. It has to happen. Has to happen. Dino saying, I've been listening since I've been a child with my late father. Now I'm 40. Best of luck to you and your family. Dino, thank you for listening all those years, brother. I appreciate it. God, the fact that I've been on, first of all, I wasn't on the air for 30 years. You weren't a child. You were a 20-year-old. Now you're 40, because I've been doing this for about 20 years. But may your father rest in peace. I've lost mine too. I know that that's a tough thing for any guy to go through. Thank you for riding the river with me. I really, really appreciate it. Are you ready to discuss the unthinkable? I mean, this is like the unthinkable. If I'm John Lynch, my phone, I'm giving out the number to every single GM. Well, every GM has his number, obviously. But I'm taking calls on anyone and everyone. I'm taking calls on George Kittle. I'm taking calls on Christian McCaffrey. I'm taking calls on Nick Bosa. I am. Not that the Niners, who just won a playoff game on the road, should be thinking big rebuild here. Not with the pressure that I guess is on this regime. But when you look at timing, and life is timing, Man, the Niners are just up against a very good young reigning Super Bowl champion in the Seattle Seahawks. They're up against the reigning MVP in Stafford. And with the McDuffie trade, the Rams just got better. It's a tough spot to be in. By the way, yesterday's show, we talked about how the West is the best. No doubt about it. The West is the best, and here are the actual numbers that make I'm not saying that because it rhymes and it fits nicely into a title. The West is the best because it has been, and that is provable, my friends. Look at this graphic that I saw Coach Yak share on Twitter this morning. This is the NFC West since 2011. These are the last 15 seasons of football. The highest winning percentage of any division in the NFL. The most points, I don't know about points scored, but the largest point differential in the NFL comes out of the NFC West. I mean, that's an awful lot of McVay and Shanahan just coaching their asses off. You got playoff wins, the most of any division in the last 15 years, the most conference titles, and tied for second with the most Super Bowl wins, and had the 49ers beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in one of their two shots, they would have been number one because the number two team that they're tied with is the AFC West because of the 3 Chiefs Super Bowls. The Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls in the last 15 years to put the AFC West in that Super Bowl conversation. But look at how good the West has been. Look at how good the West has been, and this isn't like a has-been rearview mirror. This is the present, too. The Rams and Seahawks are going nowhere next year. Are the Niners getting better or getting worse or kind of staying the same? Here's the thing. If they're not going to think of, not throwing in the towel on a rebuild, but we are definitely moving in a direction that says patience required. Not that anyone has much of that anymore. Yeah, I'm taking calls on Bosa. I'm taking calls on Kittle. I'm taking calls on McCaffrey. And by the way, if you took a call on McCaffrey, I'm guessing Kyle Shanahan would have to drive up to San Francisco to think about jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. Like, that is his offense. But it would also force Kyle to do other things, which I don't know if that would be bad. And here's the thing. If an honest rebuild out there is the worst idea you've ever heard, hey, it's going to take an awful lot of you got your draft perfect and free agency went just cracker jacks for you to keep up with the competition here in the West. Seattle and LA aren't going anywhere. So if this is not happening, if you're not willing to take a minor step back to take larger steps forward in upcoming seasons, then go out and get Stephon Diggs. Do it. Go out and get Stephon Diggs. I don't want to hear about how he has rubbed some guys in Houston the wrong way, or, is kind of the guy most likely to sleep with your own sister on the team. Stephon Diggs, 32 years old. Aren't you supposed to get younger now? 32 years, too old for me. Look, this guy just signed a 3-year, $69 million deal with the Patriots last March. And the reason why they're moving on is because of the way that contract was structured was he got $10 million in the first year, and his cap hit this year was going to raise to $26.5 million. So that's why the Patriots are moving on. Diggs was actually really, really liked in that locker room, and he became the Patriots' top producing receiver. Again, whatever reservations the 49ers might have about him, I don't think they're as founded as this is exactly the kind of guy you need. I don't think the 49ers got any ideas or reservations that should outweigh the fact, like, Stephon Diggs is there. Go get the guy. He had a team-high 85 receptions for 1,013 yards with 4 touchdowns in the regular season, and then the postseason, he had 14 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown in 4 playoff games, and he probably would have had more, but the Patriots played their playoff games in frickin' blizzards. And by the way, before any 49er fan wants to turn their nose up at Stephon Diggs's 85 receptions, do you realize the 49ers haven't had a wide receiver on their team with 85 receptions since Anquan Bolden 13 years ago? 13 years ago is the last time they had a wide receiver finish the year with 85 catches or more. That is 6 NFL lifetimes, basically. I'm telling you, Stephon Diggs, unless he's got some serious, like you think he is going to court and going to jail speculation about, sign him. Sign him. I don't care. I don't get choir boys need not apply. I need production. You need production. The Niners need production. Sometimes production comes with a lousy, civic-minded attitude. Got Jake here saying the 49ers don't need the drama. Bullshit. They need the production. They need the production. Find me the wide receiver that is totally drama-free, that gets things done. You know, drama is built into the position of wide receiver. It just is. You're not avoiding it. Barry coming in again saying, I noticed no headphones. I could never broadcast without headgear. I like to hear how I sound on the broadcast feed over the music, the beds. Well, here's the thing. I'm not playing any music. I put that. I know how long that goes. So, yeah, I mean, I look at it this way. I guess I've been talking just out loud on my own for so long that I don't need the headphones, don't need the cans. I used to. Don't need them now. So the 49ers either need to start getting really aggressive or signal to everyone, we're going to approach this season a little bit more passively. We are going to get younger. We are retooling. We are getting less expensive at the top of our depth chart. And in a season or two from now, we'll be better off for it. You got to sell me one or the other. You got to sell me one or the other. You cannot get middled here. Let me tell you what would be driving me absolutely freaking nuts. And look at it this way. I'm not a Raiders fan, but this is driving me nuts. The Max Crosby rumor that never ends. And I guess this sort of applies to the 49ers, who have fallen out of the Max Crosby destination rumor mill. They were right in front of it there for a minute. Now it might be the Chicago Bears, who, by the way, moved on from DJ Moore today. The Buffalo Bills trading a second rounder for DJ Moore. That just smacks of desperation. DJ Moore has been incredibly frustrating since coming to Chicago. He's got a lot of talent, doesn't have the production to match that. I don't think is getting better at all. I would not have done that deal. I'm surprised Buffalo did. Bears got other problems with Drew Dahlman retiring. But this Max Crosby rumor now has the Seattle Seahawks in it. It's the Dallas Cowboys in it. Has the Chicago Bears in it. This morning, Jordan Schultz says teams in the trade market have gotten the sense that the Raiders are more open to the idea of trading Crosby, and it's a situation that is only going to intensify. In other words, here is a breaking news that isn't breaking any news. I have seen a version of that tweet basically every week since week 17, when Pete Carroll decided with 2 games remaining in the Raiders season, he was going to shut Max Crosby down under the guise of, well, his knee needs to get better. And I'm sure that it did. But you know who didn't think that needed to happen? Was Max Crosby. The Raiders were in full, we want the number one pick. They went to Tankathon, and I don't blame them. Mendoza's going to be good for them. But Crosby, quote unquote, vehemently, disagreed with the decision the Raiders made to sit him in the final two games. And that's where he packed his bag, kind of went home. And that's where this rumor started. And the rumor might have a little truth to it that Crosby was frustrated and doesn't like it. And he does want out. But I don't need to hear about it anymore. Like, the next element in this story cannot be Max Crosby might be traded. I am aware of that. Every football fan is aware of that. We have seen that tweet come from 5,000 people on 1,000 different days. So just please let me know if he is traded. And you don't need to tell me that he might be traded when he might not be. The 24-hour-a-day news cycle is enough to drive you nuts. It really is. It's enough. Enough. Damon, are you excited for the Raiders this year with Mendoza? I will be paying more attention than ever, and I will be putting more pressure to get it right on the Raiders than I have since I was screaming at Jack Del Rio about his decisions made no sense. Me and Jack Del Rio. Hey, you want to go ahead and, instead of trying to, we got to get younger. Are you going to go for it? Are you trying to win directly next year? Here you go. Go sign Stephon Diggs and then go get Cam Jordan. The Saints are moving on from Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan was a player I was saying the 49ers should have maybe traded for last year when they lost Bosa, but that didn't happen. And even though he's been in the league for 15 years now, I mean, Cam Jordan is old. There is not a lot of future with Cam Jordan, but guess what he had last year? He had present. He had 10.5 sacks last year. 10.5 sacks last year. That would have been more than any 49er combined with a teammate or two. Go get Cam Jordan. Stop waiting for perfect to come along. Perfect really isn't out there at the price point of the free agent market that the 49ers need to be spending their money in. Go get pretty freaking good. Cam Jordan is still pretty freaking good. Here's the thing, Rory, I understand your trepidation. 49ers ain't getting no one as a free agent. Well, free agency hasn't even begun yet. So let's not say that it hasn't happened before it's even allowed to happen. But if it doesn't, if when free agency begins and the Niners are out there making more than competitive offers to players and they're getting passed on over and over and over again, guess who's going to hear about the substation? You and I, an awful lot. That story will pop right back up like a weed in your garden. Not the fun weed that might be in your garden, the ones you don't want. Not the ganja jar weed. Oh, wait, I'm still bad at pointing. This is why I'd be a terrible weatherman. I'd be pointing incorrectly on the map everywhere. By the way, when I was poking around some local Miami news this morning, looking for, that Mac Jones rumor, Mac Jones to the Dolphins for 10 or 11, where they're picking in the first round for Mac Jones. I mean, immediately at the speed of light, should that be up there? But it's not. I don't think that there's any realistic chance that would happen. But here's what I did see about the Dolphins that I'm like, that's on the show. I'm just making the show, even though nobody here watching is probably a Dolphins fan. Listen to this. It's just the price of poker goes up in the NFL at all times. So there is a businessman named Lin Bin. He is a Chinese-American billionaire who is the 115th richest person in the world. He is worth $18 billion. And apparently, Lynn Bin and Dolphins owner Stephen Ross have agreed to a deal in principle where he would buy 1% of the Miami Dolphins and all that comes with them. And there is a significant portion of stuff that comes with the Miami Dolphins, namely Hard Rock Stadium, which I was just at Hard Rock Stadium for the national championship game. That's a nice stadium. They redid that very well. I like that stadium. I like it more than Levi's. That's a nice stadium. Around that stadium is a Formula One racetrack. You also get the Miami Open tennis tournament and a lot of other things that fall under the Dolphins parent company umbrella. If Lynn Bin, this businessman, buys 1% of the Miami Dolphins, apparently the deal is for $125 million. $125 million for 1% of the Miami Dolphins. That values the team at $12.5 billion. $12.5 billion is basically the number that is being attached to the Dallas Cowboys right now. $12.5 billion should be about enough to get you the Dallas Cowboys, much less the Miami Dolphins. If the Dolphins are worth $12.5 billion, the Dallas Cowboys have to be worth 18. Seriously. See, I'm dead serious. So that one sale price alone, if it is actually agreed to, if this becomes more than an agreement and an actual sale, and 1% of the Dolphins was just sold for $125 million, that means the entire kit and caboodle is $12.5 billion for the frickin' Dolphins. I don't know what you're doing with your children, but here's what I'll be doing with both of mine. I will be very much encouraging them to both be NFL owners one day. Jack and Ozzy, don't be an NFL broadcaster. Don't be a broadcaster like your dad. Go be an NFL owner. You can't lose. You just cannot lose. I am become deaf destroyer of words says, wait, Miami would be worth more than the 49ers? Yes, if this deal happens, instantly. But then the intrinsic price of the Niners goes up. Again, with every single transaction, everybody's watermark rises. Wait until you see what is really going to be interesting is what do the Seattle Seahawks sell for? Dude, the Seattle Seahawks could sell for like $11-12 billion. And again, if the Dolphins are worth $12 billion, how is Seattle now not worth 14? If Seattle's worth 14, how are the Niners not worth like 15, 16? And again, if the Niners are worth 15, 16, how are the Cowboys not worth now 20? Do you see how this all keeps going up? It never stops going up. Yeah, we're trying, J49, we're trying to get Jack and Ozzy to be billionaires. And instead of having like a mobile in their nurseries, we just had a mobile, but it didn't like dangle cows and moons and spoons and all that shit. It was just dollar signs, stacks of cash. So, man, the business of the NFL. They print their own money. And when any element of the league wants to become more valuable, all one team needs to do is sell off a teensy-weensy portion of their ownership, a non-controlling portion of ownership to some happy, dumb, lucky to be here billionaire, and it raises the price of poker around the entire league. Couldn't believe that. I was looking for Mac Jones rumors and I saw that. I was like, holy mackerel. That's a big number for the Dolphins. All right. Couple of other things here. The biggest news in the NBA today is not Warriors and Rockets tonight, although we'll talk about that in a second. The biggest news in the NBA this morning is that Jason Tatum apparently is making not just plans to return this season. This guy popped his Achilles last year. Jason Tatum in the playoffs popped his Achilles, and he could make his season debut on Friday night against the Dallas Mavericks, according to Shams. That's incredible. Seriously? This is 10 months. 10 months is now the recovery timetable off an Achilles. It's good to be young. If Jason Tatum comes back this year, the East gets a lot more interesting. Seriously. I mean, wow. That would be something else. That would really, really be something else. Warriors, again, are at the Rockets tonight. With a loss, the Warriors will fall all the way back to 500. They go into this game with a 31-30 record. Kevin Durant, by the way, is averaging about 34 a night over his last handful of games. So he's going to be tough to beat tonight. Draymond, you got Kevin Durant tonight. Have fun with that. But here's who you don't have. You don't have Steph Curry, obviously, who's being held out for another 10-day reevaluation. You're going to have no Will Richards, who's out with a sprained ankle. You're not going to have Moses Moody, who's out with a sprained wrist tonight. And you're not going to have Kristaps Porzingis, who is out with what I'm calling basketball AIDS. Here's the thing. If you're not going to tell me what his mystery illness is, then that means I get to make up whatever I want to call it. The guy's got basketball AIDS. It's ridiculous. 6 games in a row he is now missed with a mystery illness. The Kuminga trade looks worse by the day. By every day where Kuminga's actually outperforming, playing well, and Porzingis is just not even playing. It's crazy. What the Warriors did was crazy, and it's kind of indefensible, and it's going to continue to be the squeaky wheel that never gets enough grease to go away unless Kristaps Porzingis is cured of basketball AIDS and never, ever gets hurt again and is the running buddy that Steph Curry needs to win one more title. Unless all of that happens, it was a bad trade. It was a bad trade. So Steve Kerr, I was mentioned on 95.7 The Game this morning. Well, let me mention 95.7 The Game on my show, because apparently Steve Kerr went on with Willard and Dibbs, and just when asked about Kuminga for, I'm sure, the millionth time, he said, quote, "Grown-ups win championships. Any frustration from our fans is probably coming from the idea that young players should get ready right away. It just doesn't work that way." End quote. Aren't the Golden State Warriors full of enough veteran leaders to carry on the roster one or two young players who, again, you're developing? And by the way, in Kuminga's rookie year, where he contributed more than in the years that followed, the Warriors won a championship. I mean, they did. So they won a championship with Kuminga. But then, just to let you know that you're getting gaslit by Steve Kerr here a little bit, and the concept of young players don't win championships. Like, I know what he's saying. The saying used to be, rookies get veteran head coaches fired. When you're asked too much of your rookies, when you ask too much, but that's the thing. The Warriors had the perfect team built based around the concept of veteran presence to absorb one or two young players in and have them figure it out. Now, I know that Kuminga was forever labeled the square peg that they were trying to fit in the round hole. Don't know how much I necessarily, truly, honestly believe it. The Warriors can say you cannot win. Steve Kerr can say that you do not win with young guys. Except for the fact that the youngest team in the NBA last year was the Oklahoma City Thunder, who, as I recall, let me check my notes, is the reigning NBA champion. So don't tell me you can't win young in the modern NBA when the Oklahoma City Thunder became one of the youngest teams to ever win it. Now, you can say that that is an outlier, not the standard, and I agree. But don't tell me it can't happen, because it just did. And that is not like, a veteran-laden team. You had, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in years 7 or 8 or wherever he is in his career? He's the old man on that team. It's not like, wow, the Thunder were able to win this title because even though there were a lot of young guys, they had 1 or 2 really grizzled veterans on the team. No! In basketball, more than any other sport, youth can be served. And the Warriors have completely missed that train. Like, don't gaslight me, Steve Kerr. Don't. By the way, it's a shame I'm not doing that interview anymore, because if Willard and Dibbs didn't go right down his chimney saying, what are you talking about? It's not like you had a young team with Kuminga. You can have 1 or 2 players. And, oh, by the way, you won a championship with James Wiseman doing absolutely nothing. You won a championship with Kuminga doing more in his I just got here year than you asked him to do in the I'm getting it years. Craziness. It's crazy sauce. It's crazy talk. Vegan Yosh. Happy 5,000 shows, DB. I've been with you for nearly 20 years. Just know that your listeners have much appreciation for you. I'd follow you into Mordor if called upon. I would never ask you to do that. I would never bring you into combat like that. But thank you so very, very much. This is Jesse. Sorry, I know it's off topic, but did you watch SMC versus AGA last weekend? Go Gales. Gonzaga. Yeah, St. Mary's beat Gonzaga, right? I got to be honest with you. I don't watch a lot of St. Mary's basketball, just like everybody else on the planet. But yeah, go Gales. Randy Bennett, I got a ton of respect for that guy. By the way, I just saw somebody drop a $5 super chat, and it says the message was retracted. I think this might have been it, Jesse. But either way, thank you very much for the supers. Thank you for the love. Thank you for what I know from a lot of you has been an absurd amount of loyalty. And you've followed me originally from KNBR to 95.7 The Game. I know many of you followed me back to the poorly mic'd hour that I did last night on 95.7 The Game, on KNBR, and I certainly appreciate that. But more importantly, you followed me here. And this is where we hang, and this is where we get to control everything. This is us. This is our little group. This is our meeting. We can do whatever we want. We can talk about whatever we want right here. And I thank you for allowing me the privilege of being able to do that and being a part of this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, whether today is your 5,000th show with me or your very first show with me. Thank you, and please hit like and subscribe, because that's the world we're now living in. Too Much Sauce says at least the Warriors have house money, 4 chips to fall back on in the last 11 years. The 49ers act aloof. They've recently won a couple of Super Bowls. That has not happened. No. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think the 49ers are acting aloof. I think they're just having trouble signing free agents. I think that trouble is now ingrained in a way that they never even planned on, thanks to the substation. I think that they've been passed in their own division, and the teams that pass them have a better general manager than they do. Again, John Lynch isn't bad at this, but he's not great at it either. And unfortunately, Seattle and Los Angeles have a couple of great general managers. The decision to trade all that draft capital for Trey Lance was a noose around the franchise's neck. And they have been dangling from the "we got that wrong" tree ever since. It was a brutal, set the entire franchise back level decision that no one wants to even pretend happened. They just want to say, oh, it's in the rearview mirror now. Get over it. And you do need to get over it. But the Niners have yet to get over the hump of the talent gap that they are now suffering from. Fam. That's what we got. This is a family. And I thank you very much for being a part of the family. And as the father of this family, what I need to do is make sure that you know where you've been so you know where you're going, which is why it's time for Today in History. Now, March is full of interesting birthday days. March is full of birthdays. It's my birthday in March. It's Ike's birthday in March. It's a lot of people's birthday in March. It's because a lot of people get married in June. 9 months later than June, you get to March, and that's what it is. People have sex in the springtime, and you get a baby in March. The postman coming in. Oy, oy, oy! Thank you, postman. 5,000 shows. Who would have ever imagined? Wait a minute. You got to send it in, Jerome? I think we got that on here, don't we? Jerome! Thank you very, very much. Vegan Yosh coming in. Logan Webb wins the Cy Young this year. I feel it. Hey, I don't know how the Giants are going to even get to around 500 without something that dramatic happening, honestly. Steve Lewis, my ex-husband, was born on March 25th. Steve, was it me? Were we married? Steve? March 25th normally produces some solid human beings. I'm sorry that didn't work out. Jesse Jaso again. You should number 21 in the nation. What? You should number 21 in the nation. Love you, DB. I've been listening to you since the 9th grade, every day after school on 95.7. I hated that you were right about my A's, but glad that you kept it real. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I do appreciate that. Vegan Yosh coming in again. Welcome to Lithuania. I don't have that song, unfortunately. Welcome to Lithuania. There were some great old drops. There really were. All right. Are you ready for Today in History? As I was saying, talking about being here from almost day one. Sporticus. 5,000 shows. Onions. Indeed, onions. Only 2 birthdays to let you know about. You're probably not running back out and rewatching Entourage, but when you do, I'm going to ruin the entire series for you by just letting you know that Kevin Conley might be the worst actor to ever be employed. Kevin Conley is awful as E, who is really the main character of that show. Kevin Conley, happy birthday. You're 52 years old. I don't know if he can act his way out of a wet paper bag. I really don't. Sorry. It's bad. It was bad. Eva Mendes. That's a fine-looking woman. She's also 52 years old today. So a couple of birthdays to let you, but that's it. That's it in the terms of celebrity birthdays. I got you Eva Mendes and Kevin Conley. Not a big day on March 5th here for birthdays. We're going to go way back for a couple of this day in history. Again, how do they know it was today, right? How do they know it was today when we're going back to basically 1223 BC? So 1,223 years before Christ was born, we have the oldest recorded eclipse occurring in modern-day Syria. All I can tell you is I'm guessing everybody peed down their leg that day in Syria when the sky went dark and the sun went black. That must have scared the hell out of them. Again, this is from a time where, people thought when it thundered and lightning, the gods were angry. Yeah, with all due respect, Eva Mendes is a dime piece. She's unbelievable. Eva Mendes at 52 looks better than a lot of women at 22. She's gorgeous. Jesse Jaso said, loved your Ben Zobrist remix. I drop it on Gianna. Whenever I hear it in the car, I'll call her. I'll leave her a message. Don't you want Ben Zobrist? Oh, Ben Zobrist. Oh, those are the good old days. Speaking of the good old days, back in 1558, Francisco Fernandez introduced the tobacco plant into Spain, and he did it as a healing herb. Here, this tobacco will heal you. Again, the world used to be populated with some really stupid people who had bad ideas. Tobacco is a lot of things. Medicinal isn't one. Today in 1770, harassed by a mob, British troops on this day in 1770 opened fire and they killed Crispus Attucks and 4 others in an event that would become known as the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre is not a Celtics game that went wrong. The Boston Massacre is 1770, British shooting Crispus Attucks. That event galvanized the anti-British sentiment and led to directly up to the hype that gave us the American Revolution. So big day right there. I also get they sucked at basketball in my head. Yes, Vegan Yosh. That was another great drop that we had. They suck at basketball. Gotta love those Lithuanian broadcasters. They were very open and honest. By the way, today in 1946, Winston Churchill, at a speech at the Westminster College in Missouri, coined the phrase, the Iron Curtain. Now, if you're a sports fan, we don't get to the Pittsburgh Steelers Steel Curtain without Winston Churchill giving us Iron Curtain. So, big day in global political, geopolitical diatribes and in football lingo. Christmas time is here. Thank you, Vegan Joe. Yosh. You're just going down memory lane, man. I appreciate it very, very much. This is Bill Wagner. Thoughts on Mackay Lemon combine interviews. I didn't sit in on any of them. I don't know how his combine interview went. I haven't seen the story. I don't give a shit about combine interviews. I really don't. But I like Mackay Lemon as a player. I like Mackay Lemon as a target. Today in 1963, country western legend Patsy Cline. I mean, that's I Fall to Pieces. That's crazy. I don't like country music, but if I got to go to country music, let it be country music like that. That's the country music. If I have to be strapped into a chair and listen to, that's what I want. By the way, right here. Ray Durham was at Momo's. Another good old, another oldie but a goodie. By the way, look at Vegan Yosh officially becoming a member of the initiated. That gets a golf clap every single time. Vegan Yosh, we helped you change your moniker online. Now look at what you're doing. Thank you very, very much. You are indeed initiated. Anyways, Patsy Cline died today in a plane crash at the age of 30. That's why Patsy Cline is forever etched in. That's the thing. When you die young, we never watch you get old. And I think that's part of Patsy Cline's, staying power in country western lore. It's certainly part of James Dean's staying power in Hollywood lore. James Dean will never not be the young man in the brown leather coat leaning on the red sports car. He'll never not be that guy. You'll never see decrepit, old, funny-looking James Dean because he didn't get there. Today, in 1969, in Florida, the Dade County Sheriff's Office issued an arrest warrant for Doors lead singer Jim Morrison, charging him with a single felony count and 3 misdemeanors for his performance at a Miami concert just a few days earlier. They said it was lewd and lascivious behavior, exposure, profanity, and drunkenness were the misdemeanors that they tacked on to the lewd and lascivious. So I guess if you watch the movie The Doors, they go with he didn't really whip his piece out on stage. It was his finger. I guess people who were there will insist that Jim Morrison whipped it. Excuse me while I whip this out. Either way, that's what happened today in 1969. Jim Morrison might have shown everybody in Miami Little Jimmy, and that got him in a degree of trouble that, of course, because he's a rock star, he never really paid a price for. It just goes into the legend. Speaking of legendary things that happened musically, you got Jim Morrison getting arrested, and today in 1983, becoming number 1 this week was Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. So we were right in prime time. Thriller is out. We have Thriller now. Have you listened to Thriller? Are you listening to Thriller? I'm going to tell you right now, both of my sons adore Thriller. I hate to tell them that Michael Jackson probably would have adored both of you boys too. They don't need to learn about that yet. Like, we can separate the art from the artist when it comes to Michael for my boys, because they love Michael Jackson. And I got to be honest with you, even though I think Michael Jackson did terrible things, you put on Off the Wall right now, that album's incredible. It's better than Thriller, if we're being completely honest. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall is better than Thriller. Let me leave you with that today, maybe more than anything else. Oh, but I give you one more date in history. One more date in history. In 2002, this is the day that the Osbournes debuted on MTV. And in all the world of reality shows, I pretty much did not watch all of them, but I did watch enough episodes of the Osbourne to tell you that that was a pretty damn good show. And Ozzy was kind of cool. And the family was kind of entertaining for a minute there. Rest in peace, Ozzy. It still stinks that we lost him. TV 143 says Kobe Bryant staying power with him passing at 41. Yeah, Kobe's never going to turn into an old man. Kobe will never, ever turn into an old man. He will be forever young in our memories. There's no doubt about that. There you go. I agree with your opinion of Off the Wall. It's a very controversial statement. I understand. I'm even getting some fake news blowback here from SVB41. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Off the Wall. Off the Wall is unstoppable. Now, it's hard to stop Thriller too, but I think Off the Wall special, man. Did Michael Jackson do more good or bad in this world? Stephen Lewis, I'm not here for good or bad. This dude put out Off the Wall and Thriller. Musically, he certainly did about as much good as any singular artist ever has, ever. And there you go. That is our show today. Again, I am sick and tired of watching us eclipse 51,000 subs and then slip back down because we just for whatever reason, like crossing the 51,000 threshold. It's driving me freaking nuts. So please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching once again. Kruger and I will be apparently back on KNBR in the coming weeks doing a Niners Nightly almost weekly. That's what I was told anyway. Okay, we'll see if that happens. But what I can guarantee you is that Kruger and I are going to be back at it on Friday morning with a Niners Wake Up right here on YouTube, streaming on both of our channels. So we hope to see you there. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It means an awful lot that you did. Meanwhile, have yourself a great day. It's pretty nice out here in the Bay Area. If you're watching me in the Bay Area, you go ahead and get a really, really nice day outside today. Hopefully it's great where you are too. If it's nice in my neighborhood this early in the morning, that means there's a very good chance wherever you are, it's freaking gorgeous, maybe even drifting all the way into too hot. I thank you for watching. I thank you for all the supers. I thank you for the love. I thank you again, whether today's show was number 1 or 5,000 for you. I'm just glad that you're here now. Thank you very, very much. And yes, Sporticus, indeed, sundress conditions. Hashtag SDC. They are all around us. Sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone.